Hey, everybody. Welcome back to part two of our conversation on small to medium-sized businesses, sales and growth strategies. With me today, same awesome crew here. We got Rebecca Sabogal from Pick Operating Group, as well as Mike Rincker from Pick Operating Group, and they really work with small to medium-sized business owners to build a business that creates real value and makes a positive impact in the world. And also Joe Steigman is with us. Joe is a business broker and specifically really wants to help owners start their retirement through either hiring a general manager to run their business or selling that business outright. And of course, I'm here with you, Dallas Amsden from Communicate to Succeed, helping small to medium-sized business owners with their soft skills, their leadership skills, running better meetings, and really getting their message out in a way that matters for their business. So everybody, great to see you. Rebecca, Mike, Joe, great to have you all here today.
Great to be here.
So we had a conversation on another video where we talked about lack of clarity, and really anchoring to this future vision is a big part of that. Another struggle point that we know that small to medium-sized business owners deal with is really this idea of bottlenecks in their business. And so many bottlenecks, so little time, right, Rebecca?
Absolutely.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So I think especially in small to medium-sized businesses that are founded and grown and led by really very talented, passionate, caring founders. A lot of times they care so much because this is their baby. This is what they've spent their life, other than their family, their life on a lot of times. And
Right.
So they will be very well intentioned. And probably a lot of people won't tell this to them and their teams, but they're sometimes the reason things are not, smoothly operating, or you're not growing the way you can because you want to have your hand on everything. And to try to build systems or to trust other people to do what you've done for so long as well, or close to as well, can feel daunting, overwhelming, and scary.
Yeah.
But if you work with a trusted partner, or you are intentional about doing so, it can really free up a lot of your time. And in one of our cases, one of our teammates, she was able to go in, implement some processes to get that founder out of the day-to-day weeds on operations, and build the processes, strategy, streamline, get everybody moving in the right direction. And then in a short period of time, less than 6 months, I think it was closer to 3, there was a 80% improvement of founder time that was freed up from
Wow.
what they were spending before. And so back to what I was talking before, once you have that vision in place, everyone knows where they're going, you can start to assess, where are you spending the majority of your time, and is it the best value and return on investment for your time and effort on the activities? And then can somebody else in my team be trained, coached, led, given the opportunity to grow, to scale, so you're able to keep building that team, focused on, finding new business, figuring out, hey, am I going to work with somebody like Joe to get a general manager in place so I can go and sell this for a premium? And so those are things that we like to help people like. And I think, the founder bottleneck happens because it's so easy. It's the way things have been done, and change is scary. It's a lot easier to keep doing what you're doing, and to trust other people or try something new is emotionally hard, but it also is, it can take additional time and expense. And so that's a lot of the reason why it happens. But we have worked these kind of issues time and time again. And I truly enjoy not just architecting how that system will flow so that the bottleneck no longer needs to exist, but also working with those leaders and those founders to help them and their teams get emotionally on the same page, and also bought into where they see themselves and they say, this is not just Rebecca's plan, this is not Pick's plan, but this is our plan. We're bought in, we're ready to build the next future, and like breathing life into it. So that's what I would say.
I love that. I think too that there is, you mentioned this idea that, and Mike, I know you'll speak to this too, that a bottleneck, usually the leader is the bottleneck.
Yeah.
And it starts because of the idea that too often they have to wear every hat at the beginning. Yeah. They're chief marketing officer, chief revenue officer, chief operating officer, CEO, right? They're CIT, right? They're the chief IT officer, the chief learning officer, all the things, right? So what happens is, as their team grows, they have become comfortable knowing that, well, I've always done it this way. and
Yes.
that's their framework. But the whole reason they're growing their team is to allow other people to bring their mastery to the table and
Yes.
do the thing. One of the things that I do, Rebecca, when working with a team, specifically the leadership soft skill stuff, is I teach them how to run clear, powerful meetings. We all know that meeting structure, a lot of people, obviously I was in a lot of bad meetings because I pulled my hair out at them all. But a lot of people walk away from meetings going, okay, what was the purpose of that meeting? Or now what am I supposed to do with that meeting? Or they're like, did I even need to be in that meeting? But then you don't invite them to a meeting. They're like, why am I not in that meeting? And so for me, and I know this is a place where you and I have connected really well with Pick and my strategies, Rebecca, is a great place to field test, handing off a little bit of role and responsibility, is if everybody learns the same meeting format and you can hand it to that person to see how they do. Then it allows the leader to go, oh, this is like a nice little lab, a nice little
Mhm.
testing ground to watch this person grow as a leader in the company. So sometimes it can be a small strategy that builds long-term trust, just
Yes.
in a simple thing like that. But I love Pick's approach to it too, that you guys come in as partners and you
Yes.
say, hey, what can we take off your hands as well? Because we're trusted, right?
Yeah.
What can we take off your hands? And then how can we equip some of your team members to take some things off your hands? And ultimately, and Joe, this is where we'll lead to you here at the end of this conversation today. Ultimately, it sets them up for more scaling, more growth, more long-term success and valuation. But Mike, I would be remiss to not bring up sales in this conversation, and especially some of the bottlenecks that the founder can be the sales team as well. So talk to us just a little bit about that, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I think this kind of goes back to a callback to our last episode where you had mentioned something around the concept of building the culture that you want. And I think that as the founder, you're like Rebecca had mentioned, you are probably the most passionate. You've got the most invested financially, personally, and you're oftentimes the person who's holding, most of the hats in the organization. But I tend to see that once you've created this bottleneck and you're the person that has to close all the deals, you're the one that's got to be on all the meetings to finish up a deal, get it across the board. That's going to create a huge problem within your organization later on down the road when you're trying to develop a pipeline.
Yeah.
And so I'm really big on trying to find somebody, preferably within the organization, that can start to be mentored by the founder, sit in with the founder on those meetings, maybe not talking the whole time, but start to have conversations with the leader of the organization after those sales calls. Then you can start to hand off little bit by little the responsibilities of the sales role. And so, going in this position, it is scary. A lot of owners, they don't want to give over this power because what if the pipeline stops immediately after I get out?
Right.
Well, you don't want to hand over everything all at once. This is kind of like a little bit at a time. But the results I've seen here is that when you can give somebody the ability and the power and the privilege to go out and create deals and close deals on their own, and you can step away, even if it's an hour or two a day that you're gaining back, think about what that means in terms of your full work hours over the course of a month. And
Yeah.
having just a plan where you can have somebody shadow you, sit with you, and then at the very end, this is the most important part of every week, you recap, what did you learn? What did we gain from this? What was it that we covered? Then you can really start to make quantifiable results. And so if I'm working with a founder, and when we work with founders at Pick, we want to make sure that they're at least starting to think about navigating towards getting out of that main sales role.
Yeah.
Save yourself 1 to 3 hours a week out of getting into the day-to-day role of being a salesperson, and start to think more of a strategic position rather than just going after every single individual deal.
Yeah, I think that's good. The other thing too that makes me think about is two things. The first, though, as you just said there, right there at the end, is if the owner is the main quote breadwinner of the company, then it's really hard to let go of that even more because of that fear-based thing. But if we're talking about clarity here, to have the systems in place that are measurable and trackable, and you hand it off a little bit at a time, I think is really important. The other thing that came to mind while you were talking, Mike, was, and I know I bring up my kids a lot, as you guys have figured out, but I have a 15-year-old who has his driver's permit. Day number one, we drove for about 15 minutes, and I was hyper focused on what he was doing behind the wheel. I've been driving for 30 plus years, no tickets on my record ever. Like, I'm solid, but I'm also at a level of mastery where everything's automated for the most part. The occasional thunderstorm by a semi truck, I have to focus. But for him, hyper focus at this point, and I'm really monitoring. Now he's got about 25, 30 hours under his belt of time behind the wheel. I'm not having to monitor as much. I used to have to say, did you see that sign? Did you notice that? Not panicking, but pointing out everything. Hey, here's how the rules of the road apply, even though you've got them on paper. So sometimes in our business, especially with newer salespeople, we have to have much more of a driver's ed approach. Now, if we do a lateral and bring over a sales superstar from another company, they just kind of need to learn our messaging and our system, right? But I think that idea of, again, everybody, if you're watching this, there's a gradual approach to this whole process. And it's gradually, how can you remove yourself as the main bottleneck of all the systems, the processes, everything, get out of the day-to-day, partner with people like the PIC team, partner with people like Joe, partner with people like me to actually say, what can I hand off? And what can I gradually start to get off of my plate throughout the week? I think that's all fantastic. Joe, obviously, the more hands that are in the pie of success, the bigger the pie starts to get. So talk to us a little bit about the future and how that works for the sales team, or not the sales team, but the valuation specifically.
Yeah. Well, one of the pieces that I discuss with a lot of owners before we even get into valuation is just, how do you handle all of this work? I used to own my own final mile delivery business. And so one of the things I want to highlight in this bottleneck conversation, and again, taking it back to the vision and clarity piece that we've discussed previously, is, like, let's be frank. An owner, right before they hire someone to do sales, help them with it, whatever it is, an owner's know two things. One, I'm going to make less money when I bring someone on, or I have PIC help me with something, right? That is a painful fact. Not only that, but I, as the owner, the reason why it's hard for me to hand off any given task and why I wear so many hats and why I'm still so ingrained in sales is because I'm better at it than everybody else in my business.
Sure.
And I'm better at it than whoever I bring on in the first 6 months.
Right.
And so the ugly fact is that it goes back to the clarity piece. Who do you want to be when you grow up? Because if you want to be a bigger business, if you want to have higher quality, you're going to have to take that pain in the short term to achieve vision, and know that it's part of your strategy, and know that it's okay that my new sales process and team and person or general manager is not going to be as good as me. They never will be, right? And that's going to keep you up at night. But if you want to do more and you want to grow, it's more. And in meetings, less is more, but sometimes in like scaling, more is just more, and you need to bring on the help, and you need the right person. And then you need Rebecca and Mike to like make sure that person is set up for success, right? And that's where I think people like Mike, Rebecca, PIC come in and put in systems where it's, hey, you don't need to have that whole owner dynamism. We can have good processes and systems and strategy so that the output is satisfactory, because not everyone's going to work weekends, nights, early mornings like an owner will.
No, they won't.
That they won't. Right? They won't. But as we get into these bottlenecks, it's really important to address them, because then as we get to this valuation question, I did a survey of buyers last year, and the risk, buyers will put in a letter of intent, and then one of the things that they sweat is, I don't know this team and who these people are. And if you have good systems, that gives you confidence that this will work out. Because as a buyer, if you put in an LOI to get something, you're not going to be able to talk to the employees, right? Because no one's going to, you can't disclose to employees like, hey, we might sell, I don't know what this deal will happen. You're going to have a new boss in, 90 days. So that's a huge risk. In the buyers that I surveyed, 17% of the LOIs failed because of some sort of owner or management risk. So this bottleneck has like a real big valuation question. So you can imagine that, hey, I'm not going to pay that much if I don't think that the team is really strong and you can't prove it to me.
Yeah.
The next piece, especially like in what Mike is doing for businesses, is another 14% of LOI failures are coming from customer concentration, right? Like
Oh,
you can't be satisfied with your customer base. You need to grow it. You need to diversify it because you don't want to give ground to a buyer of like, hey, you guys just don't have a really professionalized strategic sales system and sales
yeah.
team and process. Man, you lose one or two people, it's gone. I'm not going to pay for that. That's not valuable to me.
Right.
So yes, owners do it better. I've been in that position where it's like, no, I'm not going to let someone else do this because I'm the only one who knows how to do it and I can do it 10 times better than this other person.
Yep.
But eventually you need to let go and trust bringing in good people and good systems. Otherwise, there's no value there.
I think that's great. I think that's such a key, important thing to remember, just in general. So the bottleneck has short-term issues and it has long-term issues. And so if you are watching this and you're a business owner and you're like, yeah, I'm kind of in the way, or maybe you have a team member who's in the way too. In the next video that we chat about, we are going to talk about poor performance. But for this conversation, we've been talking specifically that you have to entertain the idea as the business owner that the possibility exists that you are the bottleneck, and it's affecting short-term organizational structure, it's affecting sales, it's affecting long-term valuation. And that's not why you got into it. Rebecca, I'm going to go back to what you said there. You started doing this because you're talented, you're passionate, and you're caring.
Mhm.
So if you're here and you're a business owner, we know that about you. We praise you for that. You are talented, you are passionate, you're caring, you're excellent at what you do. Don't let the bottlenecks prevent you from who you ultimately want to become as a business owner as well. So we've got resources for you. You're going to see those in the links below that we can share, but you can reach out to Joe, to Rebecca, to Mike, of course, to me as well, whether it be Pick, Communicate to Succeed, Legacy Entrepreneurs. We are here to support you. We are here to help you. Mike, thank you for this conversation. It was wonderful. Rebecca, thank you so much. Joe, thank you so much. And our next conversation, I'm really looking forward to this with you guys. We're going to talk about poor performance. So everybody go out there, have a championship day.